Rachel didn't return the next day, or the day after. It was strange how quickly the absence of someone you weren't supposed to love could make everything feel hollow. The house was too quiet again, but this time the silence didn't feel numb. It felt cruel. Adam stayed late at work, or at least claimed to. I didn't ask. I didn't care. We had turned into polite strangers again. Except now there was an undercurrent of suspicion in his every glance. And I was too tired to pretend I didn't notice. It was a Friday evening when Jack showed up again uninvited. He brought a bottle of red and an unsettling smile. "Where's Rachel?" he asked, straight to the point as always. "She took time off," I said flatly. He poured wine into 2 glasses, handed me one. "She didn't strike me as someone who takes time off," he said, watching me. I stared at him. "Why are you really here, Jack?" He sipped. "Because you look like a woman standing on a cliff. And I'm just wondering if you're going to jump, or if someone's going to push you." His words hung between us. "I didn't ask for this," I said. "No one asks for fire," Jack replied. "But you still have to choose whether to burn or smother it." He leaned forward. "Does she love you?" I looked away. "I don't know." He nodded. "But you love her." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Later that night, after Jack left and the house was asleep, I sat alone in the living room, staring at the fireplace we never used. It was then I remembered Rachel's note. "I'm not going anywhere." But she had. Because I told her to. Because I let fear speak louder than my heart. I picked up my phone. Typed, "I miss you. I need to see you." Said. She replied the next morning. Only one word. "Come." She lived in a small 1-bedroom apartment above a bakery. It smelled like sugar and comfort. I had never been there before. Somehow we had built our entire world in the shadows of mine. When she opened the door, she didn't speak. She just pulled me into her arms and held me like she had waited lifetimes to do it. "I didn't know if you'd come," she whispered against my neck. I didn't know if I could stay away. We sat by her window, wrapped in silence and each other. I told her everything. About Adam's questions. Jack's warnings. The painting he found. She listened without judgment. "You don't owe me an apology," she said. "But you do owe yourself the truth." I looked at her. "Which is?" "That you're not broken for needing love in a different place than where you were told to find it." Tears stung my eyes. She reached up and wiped one away with her thumb. "I didn't fall for your silence, Ava. I fell for the way your soul kept whispering even when the world stopped listening." That night I didn't go home. And for the first time in a very long time, I didn't feel like I was doing something wrong. The next morning I returned before Adam or Ethan would notice I was gone. But Adam was already in the kitchen, reading the paper, coffee in hand. He looked up when I walked in. "You weren't in bed," he said calmly. I didn't lie. I needed air. He nodded. "And did you find what you were looking for?" I hesitated. "Some of it." He folded the paper, stood and came closer. His face was unreadable. "I've been thinking," he said. "Maybe we should take a vacation. Just the 2 of us." A part of me wanted to laugh. He hadn't taken me anywhere in years. Now suddenly he wanted to reconnect? "I can't," I said. "Ethan has school. I have the gallery show." "You haven't had a gallery show in years," he said, his voice sharper now. I blinked. He knew. I stepped back. "Adam. Don't," he said cold. "I don't need an explanation. I just need you to remember whose name is on this house. This life. This family." There was not heartbreak. Possession. Control. That night I packed a small bag. I didn't run. But I left. To Rachel's. Because the thing about falling in love with someone who sees your soul is that you stop caring who's pretending to see your face. We made love like the world didn't exist. She didn't ask questions. She just held me. Touched me like I was fragile and powerful at once. And for the first time I didn't feel like a wife having an affair. I felt like a woman finally coming home to herself. The next week blurred into one long moment. Adam stopped calling. Jack sent a text. He knows. Be ready. Rachel stayed by my side through the tears, the panic, the doubt. And then Adam showed up at Rachel's apartment. He knocked like he owned the building. Rachel answered. I stood behind her, heart pounding. Can I speak to my wife? Adam said coldly. Rachel looked at me. I nodded. She stepped aside. He walked in, looked around the small space like it offended him. This is where you went? He asked. To her. I crossed my arms. Yes. Why? He asked louder now. Why her? Why this? Because she saw me, I said. He laughed bitterly. I gave you everything. You were nothing when I met you. I stepped forward. I was whole when you met me. You just didn't see it. His eyes burned. You're going to destroy this family for a maid? Rachel's voice rang out behind me. Don't call me that. Adam turned. You think she loves you? You think this ends well for either of you? I looked at him. I don't know how it ends, Adam. But I know I'm done living in a story where I don't exist. He stormed out. And I collapsed into Rachel's arms. It only took 24 hours for the gossip to begin. Flantis circles are tighter than they look. One whisper at a charity brunch. One overheard phone call. One loose-lipped colleague. That's all it takes to turn a private wound into a public scar. I didn't hear it from a friend. I heard it from the barista at the cafe I used to frequent. She smiled as she handed me my drink. You okay? She asked. People are talking. I nodded. Let them. Because for the first time I didn't feel ashamed. Back at Rachel's apartment, life had taken on a fragile rhythm. We woke up late. We made slow breakfast. We painted, talked, kissed in sunlight. But the outside world kept creeping in through cracks we hadn't sealed yet. Jack texted again. You broke the rules. They're not going to let that go quietly. Rachel read the message over my shoulder. What does he mean? I sighed. He means Adam is going to make this ugly. Not because he loves me, but because I embarrassed him. Rachel sat on the edge of the bed, thinking. I can disappear, she said softly. My heart dropped. What? If it makes this easier, if it protects you, I'll quit. Start over. I rushed to her, knelt in front of her, grabbed her hands. No. I won't let him win by letting you go. She looked at me, pain flickering behind her eyes. Then you have to be ready. Because he won't just come after me. He'll come after your reputation, your custody, your name. I didn't flinch. I'm ready, I said. And for the first time I believed it. The next week was war. Adam filed a motion to revise our custody agreement. Claimed emotional instability. Questioned Rachel's influence on our child. Hired a ruthless family attorney. I hired one too. Her name was Elise. Mid-40s. Brilliant. Brutal. And to my surprise, empathetic. I've represented women like you, she said. You're not the first. You won't be the last. But you will be the one who comes out stronger. So I had to play it smart. No public appearances with Rachel. No romantic posts. No statements. Just silence again. But this time, silence wasn't oppression. It was strategy. One evening, while Rachel was in the shower, I stood at the window and watched the city below. So many people. So many lives. So many secrets. I wondered how many women were sitting at their windows too, feeling what I felt. That terrifying mix of freedom and fear. Then my phone rang. It was Jack. I need to see you, he said. We met at a quiet bookstore cafe on the edge of town. He looked tired. Older somehow. You okay? I asked. He leaned forward. He's not going to stop. I knew that already. He's meeting with the board of trustees. Trying to freeze joint accounts. Accusing you of being unfit. The usual. I sipped my tea. Let him try. Jack stared at me. You're not who I thought you were, Ava. I smiled. Good. He shook his head. That wasn't a compliment. You're stronger now. But also, harder. You think I'm becoming like him? I think you've learned how to survive in his world. I looked away. I'm not proud of what I did, I said. But I'm not sorry either. Jack leaned back. Then fight like you mean it. Because if you let him define this narrative, you'll lose everything. I nodded. I'm not afraid of him anymore. Rachel knew the risk of staying, of being seen, of being blamed. But she didn't run. She stood by me, held me through sleepless nights, helped me build a case that told the truth, not just of a marriage that broke but of a woman who was broken inside it. We gathered emails, photos of bruises on my spirit, not my skin, testimonies from friends who had seen me wilt. It wasn't scandalous. It was human. And that's what terrified Adam the most, that my story was relatable. Because deep down, every woman knows what it feels like to disappear. The court date approached. Ethan stayed with Adam's mother for a week. Safe, sheltered. Rachel and I prepared for the worst. He packed a small bag. I'll leave after the hearing, she said. If it helps you win. I looked at her. You're not leaving, I said. If they can't accept my love, they'll have to accept my truth. The day of the hearing, I wore a navy dress. Minimal makeup. Hair tied back. A portrait of restraint. Rachel sat in the back row, silent, unnoticed by most, but not by Adam. His glare sliced through the room. But I held my ground. I told the judge everything. About the silence. The loneliness. The slow death of a marriage built on control. I didn't talk about the affair. I talked about the awakening. The judge listened, took notes, and then finally said, "This is not a case of immorality. This is a case of emotional abandonment. Custody remains shared. Financial access remains joint. And unless proven otherwise, Miss Sinclair is entitled to live her life with whoever she chooses." Adam's face crumbled. Mine didn't. That night back at the apartment, Rachel cried. I hadn't seen her cry before. "Why are you crying?" I asked. She looked at me, cheeks wet, eyes wide. Because for once, someone chose me. I held her. And in that moment, everything else, Adam, the city, the court, the whispers, disappeared. All that remained was two women who refused to keep pretending. Strange how silence changes after you stop fearing it. It used to be my prison. The quiet between Adam's footsteps. The emptiness in our bed. The weight of unspoken needs. But now the silence that surrounds me is gentle. Peaceful. The kind of quiet that comes when you've finally spoken your truth. It's been 3 months since the court ruling. 3 months since the world learned what I was too afraid to say out loud for years. That love doesn't always look like we were taught it would. That sometimes, it finds you in the least expected place. Like in the hands of the woman who was paid to clean up after your life, and instead helped you rebuild it. Rachel and I moved into a new place. It's small. Humble. Nothing like the marble and glass mansion Adam and I once shared. But it's ours. It has plants in the windowsill. Paintings on the wall. Laughter in the kitchen. And on most evenings, Ethan's drawings scattered across the floor. Yes, Ethan. He stayed with me. Adam tried to resist. To poison the court with half-truths and legal threats. But the judge had seen too many women like me walk into her courtroom with faded eyes and brittle voices. And I think she saw what Ethan needed too. A mother who was finally living, not just existing. Adam and I barely speak. Our exchanges are limited to email and the occasional strained phone call about school pickups or holiday plans. He didn't take it well, the loss of control. The public exposure. The fact that he was the one abandoned. For a man like Adam, the worst thing in the world isn't losing love. It's losing power. And I had taken mine back. Jack visited once after everything calmed down. He stood in the doorway of our new apartment, looked around at the worn couch, the mismatched dishes, the smell of lavender and cinnamon in the air. "This suits you more than the mansion ever did," he said. I smiled. "Thank you." For not exposing me. He shrugged. It wasn't my story to tell. He glanced toward the kitchen where Rachel was helping Ethan with homework. Does it feel real yet? I looked at them, the boy who made me a mother and the woman who made me feel like one. Yes, I said. More real than anything ever has. Of course, the world hadn't forgotten. There were whispers, articles, speculation, gossip disguised as concern. How could she do that to Adam? Why her maid? Is she even stable enough to raise a child? But for every cruel voice there were quiet allies. Women who sent me letters, notes, messages on Instagram that said things like, "You gave me the courage to leave. I didn't know I was allowed to want more. You reminded me I'm not alone." And to each one I replied, "You're not." Rachel and I didn't call each other girlfriends. The word felt too small, too pink, too teenage. We didn't need labels. We had truth. We had love. We had us. Sometimes it felt like the world was waiting for us to fail. As if this thing, this beautiful, complicated, sacred thing, couldn't possibly last. But we didn't live for the world anymore. We lived for quiet Sunday mornings. For Ethan's giggles as Rachel taught him how to make pancakes. For the way Rachel reached for my hand in public now without fear. For the way I finally looked at my reflection and recognized the woman staring back. One night after Ethan had gone to bed, Rachel and I sat on the balcony, wrapped in a blanket. The city lights flickered below. A quiet hum in the distance. She turned to me, her voice soft. "Do you regret any of it?" I thought about it. About the pain. The fear. The court. Adam's coldness. The nights I cried wondering if I was destroying my son's future or saving him. And then I looked into Rachel's eyes. "No," I said. "Because everything before you taught me what love isn't. No. I finally know what it is." He kissed me then. Not like the first kiss. Not like the desperate kisses in the hallway or the stolen ones in the dark. This one was calm. Confident. Lasting. Like something that wasn't afraid to stay. Months turned into seasons. The house grew warmer. Fuller. I started painting again. Not in secret, not in shame, but in celebration. People noticed. A gallery in Midtown offered me a solo show. Rachel beamed when I told her. "I always knew the world needed to see what you've been hiding," she said. I laughed. "You mean all those messy canvases?" "No," she whispered. "You." The day of the gallery opening, Ethan walked beside me holding my hand. Rachel wore a soft gray dress, her hair tied up, her presence glowing with quiet pride. As we walked into the gallery surrounded by my art, our story told in color and light, I felt it. Not victory. Not vindication. But peace. The kind that only comes when you stop apologizing for being who you are. A letter I never sent. To the woman I used to be. I know you're tired. I know your heart is heavy with all the words you've swallowed and the dreams you shelved to make space for someone else's. I know you think love is a duty, not a discovery. That you must earn your place at the table even if no one is saving you a seat. But one day you will stop shrinking. You will meet someone who sees the fire in your soul and says, "Don't hide it. Burn." And when you do, you'll realize that being loved for your silence was never love at all. So hold on. Your freedom is coming. And when it does, it will wear the face of the person who reminds you that your story was never a shame. Who is it becoming? With love, Ava. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you reflect, don't let it stop here. Subscribe for more real, raw, and emotional stories from women finding truth in unexpected places. Like if you believe love should never come with shame. Comment below if you've ever felt invisible and found your way back to yourself. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next story of courage, betrayal, and rediscovery. Because someone out there is waiting to hear your truth too.